Good evening. Welcome to another week of A Woman's Worth weekly show. And I'm just excited each week that I come back and to talk about another issue that women face. I'm excited about that. I was just briefly talking to someone before we went on the air about, this being, I know this is my purpose to do what I do. As usual, I just want to briefly share about who I am. Before Erica saying, you saying my video went out? Can you see me, Erica? You can, great. So my video is on. But I want to share briefly about who I am. Well, more than briefly, because I'll be doing a lot of talking today about the issue we're going to talk about. No video? I can see myself, Erica, so I don't know. Yeah, your video went out. Can you see me now? Can you check your video, Erica? I don't see anything that says my video is not on. I don't know. I can't even tell. I can see myself on the screen, but I'm gonna continue. Assume that this will be recorded. You're back. Okay. Maybe of the location I am, because I've just moved to Jonesboro, so this is my first time recording from this area. So hopefully that I can continue with the show without any interruption. But tonight's show, we're talking about behind the mask, suffering in silence. And again, my name is Natalie Manning, and I chose this topic tonight based on the issues that I've gone through. I think that when I bring topics to a Woman's Worth Weekly show, that I think it does well when I bring something that I know about the issue and what I went through, because I can speak to that the most. I am a woman in recovery, and I always share that because I am so proud to share that I'm a woman in recovery for 27 years. And I want to be clear on when I say a woman in recovery, because you can recover from many different issues. 27 years that I speak about in recovery is my recovery from alcohol and drug abuse. I abused alcohol and drugs for a number of years, and I made a decision to stop 27 years ago. And I am so passionate about when it comes to recovery, because there's a difference between recovery and abstinence. Abstinence is just stopping the use of drugs and alcohol. And recovery is actually recovering your place in God, which means that we have to work on mending those pieces that cause us to use drugs in the first place. So that was part of my journey. And I'm still on that journey. I haven't done this journey of recovery perfectly. I always tell people, because people usually are in awe about the amount of time that I have, the fact that I have 27 years clean. I can tell you my 27 years clean doesn't match my 27 years recovering, because I had, going back and forth with other issues. I haven't drank and I haven't used drugs, but going back and forth on other issues like unhealthy relationships, domestic violence experiences, living beneath my purpose. So this is an ongoing journey for myself. And along with that, like I said, I experienced a cycle of domestic violence relationships and living beneath my purpose. And I decided that I wanted to use my life, as they say, as a living testimony that change is possible. And I do that by using my life, by exposing my life, by telling all the things that have gone with me, on with me, and hopes to reach women out there who are still hurting. And hopefully encouraging other women out there to know that you are not alone. When I thought about behind the mask, suffering in silence, I thought about myself first, because a lot of years, even before I began to use drugs and alcohol, which was around the age of, I think, around 16, I began to use drugs and alcohol. But even before that, I spent a lot of years in pain. I spent a lot of years not liking myself. And I would venture on to say not liking myself, just hating who I was, because the feelings of self-loathing about who I was so deep that I could coin it, probably hated myself. You know, so much that I always try to emulate and try to look like someone else, try to speak like someone else, try to act like someone else, because I didn't like who I was. So my journey of recovery, and that's the recovery part of my journey, is to learning who Natalie is and learning to pieces that I didn't think were good. I actually love them today. I actually embrace them today. And it took me a long time to be okay with who I am. And I'm free. I'm so free. And that's why I want to talk about the topic, behind the mask. I see you, Erica. You're saying it went out again. I must be in a bad area. But I'm going to continue, hopefully in the video, even if you can't see me, that I still can be heard. I'm hoping that happens. And next week, I'll make sure I fix it, probably by going to another area of the house. But yeah, behind the mask, I chose that topic because I was not the only one behind the mask. You know, my mask was learning to fix the outside. You know, I didn't want anybody to see the pain that I was experiencing on the inside. So I didn't know how to fix that. And there was no one around to show me or take the time to show me how to love me from the inside out. So what I did pick up, you know, as a child, now as I was growing up, the way that I would mend my broken pieces, which was not in a healthy way, which was attaching myself to the men in my life. And I adopted a way of thinking that if I had a man in my life, that means I'm somebody, you know, that somebody loves me. So that equal that I was lovable. Although the men that I choose were not healthy, and they did not show me that they loved me. And I didn't show myself that I love myself by being involved with unhealthy men in those domestic violence experiences. So I did other things, I got involved with drugs and alcohol, and I can remember my first drink. I could clearly remember to this day, because it took me some time to work up the nerve to take that drink. But I wanted to be a part of the crowd so badly, because being alone was so painful that I forced myself to take that first drink. I forced myself. And that's because everybody that was in that house was getting high at the time, and I was the only one. You know, I grew up being the so-called nerd in my neighborhood. I've always shared that, you know, intellectually I was gifted. So, you know, I've been called the brainiac. I've always done well in school, but when I came home in the neighborhood, if it wasn't around my circular friends, you know, people would say, you know, you're a brainiac, and, you know, and I just always felt different. Something was wrong with me. And when my best friends at the time that I grew up with moved down south, because I grew up in New York City, when they moved down south, I was lost. I was lost. You know, they were my friends since the second grade. So this is about middle school. And I was lost. And that's when I began to hang around people that were getting high and wanting to fit in, and taking that first drink. And once I took that first drink, in my mind, I still remember today telling myself, oh my God, I stepped into a world of acceptance. I stepped into a world that I was like other people. And from then on, you know, I learned to fit in by drinking and doing drugs. I learned to do that. I always share that I lived a double life, you know, talking about behind the mask. Although as I got older, you know, and I became 18 and I got my first job, I would go to work, and I would make money, because that was always in my mind, to make money, go to work. But then I would come home and I would get high with my friends who didn't have jobs, because I was living two lives. Even at the age of 18, I worked on Wall Street. You know, of course I wasn't a stock trader, but I knew enough that if I can learn how to type, and I typed well at that time, and then the computers came out, late in the 80s, and I said I'm going to learn that. And you know, I think I was like 18, 19. I was making like $16 an hour, and we're talking about, let me see, 1980. We're talking about 1988, somewhere around there. Actually, early in that, around 1986, 87, I was making $16 an hour. Working on computers. They had just come out, and I was working on Wall Street. I worked in the New York Stock Exchange. I worked in Merrill Lynch. I worked in the World Trade Center. So one part of my life, I was living around, or being around people who were making money, being in the area where people making money. Then I would come home and hang out with people who weren't living that life and were getting high. So I lived this double life. But I wanted to fit in. I could remember, you know, one of my friend's mother coming to me and saying, you know, what are you doing getting high? You know, look at the family you come from. What are you doing getting high? But they didn't know the pain that I was experiencing. They didn't know behind all of what I had on the outside, because they were looking on the outside. They were looking at, you know, this, you know, they were looking at the fact that I had a job on Wall Street and questioning why I was with people who were getting high. The reason why I was with them is because of the pain behind the picture I painted, because I learned to paint pictures. I learned that, and I have to say, I learned a big deal of that from my mom, because my mom was always making sure, you know, we went to Abyssinian Baptist Church, and that's where, you know, the influential African Americans attended church for in Harlem. She would always paint this picture. We would have conversations about how I had to present myself to the world, and I would always say, well, what about me? You know, so I learned early on how to paint pictures, you know. And then as I got older, because I was real awkward as a young girl, and I'm tall, I'm 6 feet tall. So, you know, as a young girl, when you're a teenager and you're 6 feet, you feel awkward. So I learned early on, you know, once I started putting on makeup and, you know, started doing my hair, and then I started getting more attention of men, and I'm like, oh, okay, this is how I learned to matter. I learned to matter from everything on the outside. So I went hard on perfecting, not perfecting, but as much as I could, the outside, how I looked, because I learned that gained me attention. The wrong attention, but it gained me attention. One of the things I also learned that, and I shared last week's show on childhood sexual assault, I learned that when I did have a boyfriend, if I could learn to have sex, and I could learn to be with them and do it well, that, you know, they'll want me and they'll keep me around. I didn't know enough to say that I had more to me than that. I didn't know that. I didn't feel that good about myself. I didn't think I had anything to offer. So I did all those things on the outside to matter on the outside. So as I got older, and I began to say to myself, those things on the outside were no longer working for me. No longer working for me. No matter how much I tried to dress up the outside, it didn't work for me anymore. It didn't give me the same satisfaction anymore. You know, the fact that people say, oh, Natalie, you look like a model, you should be a model. And I played that out. I tried to dress as nice as I could, so people would say that to me, because I was sick. I even tried to go into modeling for a short while. That just wasn't me. And it just wasn't working anymore. You know, the men wasn't working anymore. You know, the drugs and the alcohol wasn't working anymore. It didn't do it anymore. Even as I got older, and I'm moving into going into recovery, when I began to feel like these things that I was doing, these things, the stuff that I was putting in my body, these relationships in my life wasn't working. And, you know, God blessed me at that time with a great man in my life. And my daughter's father, Frankie, I love him to death, was the only relationship in my life that was not, had no domestic violence involved in it. He was the only man in my life. And I like to say that he was my soulmate. And he taught me how to begin to love me, and we both went in recovery at the same time. And he helped me learn how to love me. He would tell me things like, don't put all your eggs in one basket, meaning that don't put all my life into him. And I took that as rejection at first, but what he was teaching me is how to have a life outside of him. You know, we could have a life together, but we would have life separately. I didn't know how to do that. You know, I didn't know how to love me. So I took that as rejection. And the more I got into recovery, slowly I began to learn about Natalie. Slowly I began to go behind the mask that I put up. This is how deep my mask was, and I'm not the only one to do that. I attended Narcotics Anonymous meetings when I first got clean. That's how I got clean, by going to meetings. And I would make sure that I had my outfit laid out, because when I walked into the meeting, I had to look. I had to look the part, because I had to get someone to say, "You look nice." That was my drug of choice. Having a man say, "You look good." That was my feel good. That was my hit. I had to do that, and it was crazy, because when you go to meetings, you learn that the outside really doesn't matter, and it's about working on the inside. But I didn't know how to do that in the beginning, so I was laid out. I was clean from head to toe. I no longer do that anymore, but I did that then, because I was living behind a mask, and I was suffering inside. And I remember going to the meeting, and as people were talking about their pain behind their mask, when they were talking about the suffering they did, I just sat there. I didn't know how to talk about my pain. I didn't know how to come from behind my mask. I didn't know how to do that. I didn't see any value on the inside of me. I didn't know how to tap into that. All I knew how to use my intelligence, and I knew how to use everything outside of me. I didn't know how to operate in loving me. I didn't know. And a couple of years later, I switched meetings, and I started going to meetings where they were all women. And I made a point to stay there, and being around other women taught me how to begin to love me. It was the other women, because they weren't talking about, we got to get with this man. They were talking about, well, what about you? And how do you learn to spend time with yourself? And for the first time in my life, I was hearing things like, you take yourself on a date, take yourself to a movie, take yourself to dinner. To me, that was unheard of. How can you sit in a movie and by yourself? How can you go to dinner, sit at a table by yourself? Because other people are gonna look at you and like, where's your other partner? So I learned back then how to do those kinds of things. So they taught me how to come from behind the mask. It was a difficult experience in the beginning. And I'm sharing all of this because I know there are women out there that are in my position, the position I used to be in, and suffering. And they are out there working hard on the outside. They're working on getting that right job, getting that right business, getting that right man, getting those right things, and they're not working on the inside. And that's not all women. I'm talking about women who, like I shared in the post earlier, when you go home and you get out of that car and you go inside of your house, and you wash all those, the makeup away, and you lay in that bed, and you lay there and you know that you're hurt and you're broken, and who do you go and talk to? Who do you go and talk to? Who you talk to about the pain when everybody around you is focused on the outside? Who you share your pain with? Who do you do that with? And a lot of people aren't working on those insides. They're living behind a mask. They're living behind painting pictures and living in pain. Those are the women that I want to speak to tonight. Those are the women that I could identify how I was years ago, because there are. I share a lot of difficult issues on social media, and I clearly know that there are painful issues that nobody wants to talk about, but I did that because I want to reach that person who's hurting. I want to reach that woman that doesn't know what to do with their pain because they're afraid of what people may think if I share with somebody what's really going on. I want to reach those women who you made it socially, but something's wrong with your life. Something's missing out of your life. Your relationship is not right. You keep choosing the wrong kind of relationships. You're not living up to your fullest potential. I want to speak to you, and if you're struggling, you're stuck in that area, chances are there's some area inside of you that needs to be mended, that needs to be fixed, that's broken. So that's why I'm sharing all of this. I know that I'm sharing a lot right now because this is where a lot of my passion lies, for that person that's still out there suffering. You don't have to suffer. I feel so free today. It's amazing that God has taken me to a place where I was a hurt little girl. I didn't speak up. I didn't use my voice. I didn't think anybody would have listen to what I had to say. And to sit here, and I always share that, to be able to open my mouth and speak and tell about my pain is truly a miracle. Truly, truly, truly a miracle, because I fought hard to hide it for so many years, and I no longer have to do that, you know, and I feel so free. I don't have to worry about being perfect and saying the right things and worrying about if I made a mistake, you know, because that haunted me for a lot of years. I no longer have to do that anymore. I can be okay, even if I make a mistake, even if I say the wrong thing, I can be okay with who I am, and that kept me in prison for a long time, you know, for a long, long time. I'm going to kind of stop right here. If anybody wants to jump in and add on to this conversation, is welcome to do so now. You know, just jump on in. If not, I can continue talking, because I sure have a lot to say about behind the mask. I have a lot to say about that. So I'm going to stop for 1 second and ask everybody who wants to join in to join in. Okay. Well, I'm going to keep on talking until somebody wants to join in. Yeah. So yeah, I share this because yeah, I know there's women that are experiencing pain. I know we have one person calling in. I think that's Llewellyn trying to call in. Now, hopefully, Llewellyn, we get you in this week. We're going to wait a few minutes and see if Llewellyn can join in. One of the things about, you know, Blab, you know, it is in beta. So there's a lot of changes that are going on, and sometimes the reception is not the best. So we're going to hope Llewellyn gets in this week. And I see her trying to call in. I'm not sure, but I'm going to keep talking. But I love Blab. I love Blab because it gives us a platform to be able to speak about real issues and real pain. And Llewellyn, I don't know why you're not coming in now. You want to try to, I'm a close your box and try to call back in, okay? Because I definitely want to hear what you have to say. Yeah. I don't know why this is the second week Llewellyn has not called in. I just, you know, me and Llewellyn, she's in my new circle of women here in Atlanta. And I'm coming, you know, I for some reason I connected to Llewellyn early on when I first met her. We belong to a circle of women who all have the same history of domestic violence. We belong to a circle of women who have a history of sexual assault. And Llewellyn called me early this morning, and we chatted for a while, and it was a great conversation. And we were talking about, you know, how grateful that we are that we've gotten to the point that we got out of our pain. Well, we you know, not got out, but we able to talk about our pain. We got out of hiding behind masks and able to share about, you know, domestic violence. We're able to share about sexual assault. And that's just, you know, an awesome thing. And, you know, I was telling you, I don't believe in coincidences. I believe when you are ready to speak about issues that, you know, somehow the universe has a way to connect you to those right people who is experiencing the same things you're experiencing. And I believe that has happened with my circle of women. We all have those same issues, and it's just amazing. So if you're one of those women who don't have anybody to turn to, I just want to let you know that, you know, I'm one of those women who suffer those pains. You know, I'm one of those women that, you know, is available to talk. I'm one of that, and I just kind of blessed that I could pick up the phone and say, you know, to Llewellyn, or Llewellyn can tell me that, yeah, this is what happened. You know, this is what happened when I was a child. You know, this is what happened to me. You know, and even share about, I briefly shared last week, and I was so ashamed for years to say, you know, I didn't identify myself as being molested, because at some point I enjoyed the attention, even at the expense of giving up, allowing this, he wasn't even quite a man, to touch me. Somebody was giving me attention. Somebody was paying attention to me. So I thought I was participating in it voluntarily. So I could never identify found myself with being until I was much older, and I watched the talk show, and I learned that wow, I was violated. Because how could a 7-year-old or 8-year-old or 9-year-old give consent for someone to touch her body? Llewellyn and I was also talking about, Janetta, who was on our show last week, that, I like Janetta. I like women like Janetta. Even Coach Erica, who's one of my biggest supporters. I'm usually connected to women who are truth tellers. I'm usually connected to women who will go that extra mile to put themselves out there, even at the expense of people looking at them and, oh my God, did she? I usually connect real close with those women. And I count it a blessing because they make it comfortable for me to come out and say what I need to say and expose my pain. Llewellyn, I see you trying to get on. God, this is the second week in a row, Llewellyn. Because Llewellyn has a lot to say, Llewellyn is one of those women who's becoming more and more open about sharing her pain. And I'm just so proud to know her. Because again, there are a circle of women that is talking about their pain. But sadly enough, there is a lot of women out there who's not. There's a lot of women out there who does not have that person to talk to. And it does affect your life. I'm trying to click you and Llewellyn, hope this works this time. There's a lot of women out there who's carrying the pain of domestic violence. There's a lot of women out there that's carrying the pain of sexual assault and carrying it inside of them and aren't free, and living behind masks, Yeah, I'm pausing because, my heart goes out to you. My heart goes out to you because I know what that feels like to live with all that pain and too embarrassed and too ashamed to tell anybody. I know what that feels like. I know, there's a lot more that I'm going to share about my story. I am beginning to go out and speak. That's my goal for the month of June, to go out and speak more out about my history of domestic violence, my history of sexual assault. This is my goal for June, to put myself out there, come from off the pages of social media. I'm still going to be there, not off, but, in addition to social media, go out in the communities and talk about those issues that are real difficult to talk about. I understand difficult. I put in the post today, I don't know where this came from, that God selected me, gave me the passion to expose my stuff. This is something that is not done a great deal, as opposed to people keeping things secret. I don't know where they came from, especially someone like me, who used to be like me, that shied me, that insecure me, the Natalie that had, low self-esteem. God chose me to come up here and say, yes, these are the things that happened to me. Wow, this is truly, truly, truly amazing. And my passion is so deep that I'm going out. I'm ready to go out. I'm ready to go out and tell the world that, I've had these traumas. And I've been speaking for a long time. I'm not new to speaking, I'm speaking a lot in the recovery community over 27 years. I've been speaking as a counselor, but now I'm speaking out professionally, and I'm excited about it. I'm excited about my journey and my future, and traveling around the nation and even outside, speaking about those issues. Yeah, it's a painful issue. I want to say this. God, I'm hoping Llewellyn can get in. I want to say this, for the women who don't talk about the issue, I do recognize how painful that is. I do recognize, because as a counselor, I do recognize the fear behind sharing the pain. I do recognize the feeling of reliving the pain again. I do recognize feeling that if I open up this wound, if I talk about this, what's going to happen to me? Am I going to fall apart? I do understand that through my experience as a counselor and as someone who survived domestic violence and someone who's been through, child molestation. I do understand that, having to deal with that feeling. I was sharing with you, Ellen, earlier, just 2 days, maybe a day or two before I knew Janetta was coming on the show and to speak about childhood sexual assault, I had experienced some feelings. And I was, walking around the house sad because I'm used to talking about feelings because I'm a woman in recovery, because talking about feelings is not new to me. I knew what I was experiencing. I knew what the sadness was about, and it was so profound that my younger daughter was saying, "Mommy, what's wrong?" I didn't share with her, but I knew what I was experiencing, and I was taking the time to take care of me through that time. I began writing in my journal during that time. I began to meditate and go in prayer because I understood what was going on with me, and I understood that this is something that I now need to speak more about. Being molested and saying it out in the open. You and I also talked about, the journey that we're on, and speaking up and speaking out about the issues that we've experienced is not about us. We recognize it's not about us. We understand that, everything that we've gone through was God also, not that God wants us to go through difficulty, because God doesn't, but God takes what we went through and uses it for his good. So, we recognize that our speaking up and speaking out is about preparing us to share with other women who are still behind the mask, who are still hurting. By using our life and exposing our trauma. We understand that, it's not about us. It is not about us. Oh my God, Ellen, I don't even know what is going on with you not being able to get on. I have no idea what is going on. Wow. God, we're gonna make this work somehow. We're gonna fix this, Ellen, during the week before we get on the show next week. Because definitely, Ellen, you got a lot to say. Erica, you're saying you thought refreshing would help. I don't know. I have no idea why Ellen can't get on. You guys got to hear from Ellen. I'm so proud of Ellen. I want to say that because she is really more and more stepping out there and talking about her pain. I want her to. I think I'll probably bring Ellen on the show next week as a guest because Ellen is taking the steps. By connecting with, and I'll let her talk about it, connecting with other people who was allowing her to tell her story, who's allowing her to share her pain. And that's how this works. You connect with someone who probably experienced the same pain as you, and you share with them, what's going on with you because you feel more comfortable. I want to say this. This probably won't go over well with some counselors. It probably won't, but this is my feeling. I fought for years to be that counselor who said, it really doesn't matter that you haven't experienced the same pain as your client. You still can counsel them. I still agree with that. I always agree with that because I know some wonderful counselors in the field of addiction who have not experienced substance abuse and make great counselors. I do, I can tell you. And I know a whole lot of counselors who are recovering themselves who are not good counselors. I can tell you that also, experienced them. But after 25 years of counseling, I can tell you that it does make a difference when you talk to somebody who's experienced the same pain as you. It does make a difference. There is a level of comfortability that you don't have to fear being judged. You don't have to worry about that look that someone may give you. What you get is a feeling of somebody understands. And I fought that for years because I wanted to look out for my coworkers who not experienced that pain, but it makes a difference. It makes a difference in my life. And that was one of the reasons why I was able to go to Narcotics Anonymous meetings and talking about my drug and alcohol use, because people understood, because they walked that walk. I can tell you this, when I share sometimes, and now it doesn't bother me, the judgments, but I still get someone, even on social media, who making a point to jump on and say, I have never used drugs before in my life. I've never drank in my life. Oh my God, that has never happened to me. And I think to myself, you know, they don't understand by posting that, and it doesn't happen often, but making that statement, what are you saying about the people who have used drugs and who have drank and who don't have the self-esteem that I have? What do you think they're feeling about it when you post that? I've even heard people on Facebook saying derogatory statements about people who are using drugs and alcohol. And I understand some of it, because, you know, when you're abusing drugs and alcohol, you will get to the point, and we call it, to an animalistic state of living, which means there's some of us that will rob, steal, do all of that, you know, neglect their children just to get high. We out there. So I want to, hey, you Ellen, yes, finally, yes. I'm going to stop right now because you Ellen finally, y'all, yes.
I'm driving.
So I'm going to stop. My God. Wow. So I'm going to let you Ellen talk. Get on. How you doing, you Ellen?
You know I'm driving.
I am good. I don't know.
I'm just enjoying the conversation, just listening to you talk about the mask and the things that you've been through. And you know, we talked earlier this morning. I was talking about unmasking stuff. Can you hear me? Okay. And so, you know, I thought about, yes, you know, being molested as a child. I don't wear makeup for that reason, because it's like it's covering up child abuse. And so about 3 weeks, 2-3 weeks ago, I went home and did a photo shoot with makeup, because I've lost 81 pounds. And so I wanted to do something different. And that was for the first time I put on makeup in a long time that I didn't feel like I was hiding something. It felt like I was embracing a new me, a better me. And, you know, I'm in counseling working on a better me. And so I just thought about how I wearing clothes that was maybe 2-3 sizes bigger than I actually was, you know, because I was hiding and I didn't like stuff to touch me. And so now I'm okay with myself, you know, and I've amassed and I'm studying pulling off masks and learning a lot about me. I didn't realize how deep the sexual child molestation went, that it, you know, it brought me to the point where I was. I'm free today. I'm really free and able to do, you know, what I want to do. I'm free to be me. I don't have to worry about what somebody say. I don't have to worry about, you know, keeping a dirty secret anymore. There's no more secret.
Yeah.
I'm at that point where in my life where I don't care who knows my truth, because it is my truth.
Right.
It happened to me.
That's right, you Ellen. That's right. Absolutely. That's right.
Last week, we are told to suck it up. And so as a minister, as an ordained elder myself, going to counseling, and that's what they would tell me, you can't go for the people and you're messed up. So you got to suck it up and, you know, put this clergy attire on and walk out here and greet the people like, hey,
wow. My God.
Everything's
wow.
fine. And I sat myself down 4 years ago.
I think you Ellen got, I think she, oh, there she go. You Ellen, are you still there? I don't know if you drove into an area where the reception isn't good.
Your truth.
You Ellen? Oh, yeah. I think wherever you get to a good place, if you could stop, because you're moving in and out of areas that are or have good reception and areas that do not have good reception. Oh, that was audio. Okay, we lost you, Ellen. I'm going to actually ask you, Ellen, if she wants. I'm going to put her on the spot and ask her if she wants to be a guest on next week's show. Because, like you said, I think she's coming back. Ellen's, I think she's a minister, and she was just briefly beginning to talk about, you know, issues and being someone who's a minister in the church. Here she comes. She's coming back. Hopefully she has good reception. Yeah, so I'm gonna ask her because she has a story to tell. Ellen has a story to tell. She's a woman who has come from behind her mask. She's a woman who's no longer suffering in silence, and she's gonna tell her story. She's gonna tell her story. Hopefully, we get Ellen back on. If she could park that car and stay in a good spot, we could hear Ellen. And she's amazing. That's one amazing sister. I really coming to really like Ellen a great deal. She keeps it real. She keeps it real. One day my hopes is that I want to share this. One of the things about me sharing difficult issues on social media, particularly Facebook, I can tell you, even though you may not see people responding to those posts on Facebook, I often get people hitting my inbox. I want to tell you. So, I'm glad of that, because if you're someone that's suffering, you don't have to jump on the post. That's not what my posts are about, because it took me a while to get to where I'm at, to get on Blab and say this. It took me a while. That did not happen overnight. I want to tell you, when I first went to Narcotics Anonymous meetings, it took me 9 months to open my mouth. So, I'm so glad that when I get responses in my inbox, I'm like, wow, there are ladies that are hearing. I get requests like, Natalie, can you counsel me? Natalie, can you give me advice? That is one of the reasons why I came up with a Woman's Worth Transformation Group, because I was getting all these requests. Now I am a professional counselor. I'm an addiction counselor, and I have a lot of training in trauma recovery, and I'm an anger management specialist. And I am beginning my online counseling. It's been a journey in getting that started, because at the end, I found out that there's some new online training that I have to take that I'm taking very shortly. So that's been put on pause. So I am a professional counselor, and I have a counseling program. But at the same time, I didn't want that to stop me from reaching people who either couldn't afford my prices, and at least give them the little tools on how to help them experience, deal with the pain they're experiencing. So we have a few women in our group, our Women's Worth Transformation Group, and I give out assignments in that group. Right now, we are doing a 100-day affirmation challenge. And whoever can survive to the 100th day, and whoever has posted the most, will be co-hosting with me on the show. And I will allow you to choose a topic. And like I said, it has to be approved by me, and it has to be a topic about uplifting and empowering women, hopefully utilizing your own life. So that's one of the prizes. And the second and third place prize is that I am offering a self-care basket for you. As someone who participated in the challenge. So I'm interested in seeing who's going to be, who's going to reach the end. I know there's another Samantha out there, and she's posting every day, Samantha, and I forgot her last name, but I'm going to mention you next week. She is posting every day. Of course, we have Ellen posting, and we have Michelle Beloved Haynes, who's posting every day. Even though I'm the host of the show, I'm still posting. I'm still a part of it. I'm not going to win a prize, but I'm on that affirmation journey as well, because it helps me. It helps me. It really does help me. We have someone else to join us. You said, hi, Ron. Is there a Ron in the room? If you're in the room, Ron, welcome to a Women's Worth talk show. I want to say this, just because this is a Women's Worth talk show, man, you are welcome to join in. You're welcome to join the conversation. Yeah, you're definitely welcome. You don't have to be a woman to be on the show. Here's you, Ellen, trying to jump in again. So yeah, we're doing affirmations. You know, I have another project out there with my group. We're working on a vision board, which is due June 5th. So ladies, if you're in the group, just remember, the vision board is due June 5th, and it has to be presented in video form into the group. Hey, Ron. Hey, Ron, how are you? I'm not sure if you're still in the group. How you doing, Ron? You're great? Wonderful. What brings you into the Women's Worth weekly talk show? You're welcome to join in one of the spots if you want to come on air to share what brought you here. I just saw this on. Okay, wonderful. You know, what we're talking about today is things that are going on behind closed doors with people, you know, particularly women, and some of the issues that women experience and they don't want to talk about, either because it's too painful for them to remember or to recall. They don't want to deal with the feelings or the shame of telling somebody, or who do you tell when you don't know who to tell. So just talking about that, because it does affect your life when you hold on to these feelings. I don't know if anybody ever know, I know it happened to me. I know in my life, there were relationships that I was involved in, and some people would look at it like, Natalie, how in the world did you wind up with that man? And the reason why they were saying that, because they thought that we weren't on the same page. And I can tell you, we were not on the same page. Even now, I look back, and we all have those moments. I look back and like, what was I thinking? You know, and what I was thinking is that, you know, I accepted anybody in my life. We got you, Ellen, back. You, Ellen, you need to park that car where you have a good reception. Don't move from there. Okay. So go ahead. What were you saying?
Oh, I was just reading what Ron said. Yeah, I was just reading what Ron said. We talking about.
Can you hear me?
Something like this at church. And it is amazing that in churches is really not talked about, and to hear him say it's being talked about at his church, that wows me, because in the church you're taught to please be quiet, you know, or what happened at your house, you know, pray about it. I'm a minister, so I can tell you the stuff that we have to tell people when we're counseling. Give them the scripture. You know, God loved you so much. St. John 3:16. For God to love, you know, He gave His only begotten Son. You know, we have to minister to them at that level, not at, you know, where they really are. Some people don't know the word, so it's confusing to them. What if God loves me? Why is He allowing this to happen to me? Why did He allow this to happen to me? Right. You know, and so, you know, you have all of that, but you know, everything we go through is not for us, it's for a testimony. It helps someone. How do we overcome? By the blood of the Lamb. All that is true. So we have to share and tell somebody how we made it, how we got to where we are. Okay, I'm a minister, and I can promise you,
absolutely.
I was able to hide behind ministry. I can hide behind ministry. I can preach anything you need me to preach, but when it came to talking about what's really bothering you, Ellen, no, I can't talk about that. That's stuff that you don't talk about, because you've been told, even growing up in my house, with my siblings, it was taught, what happens in my house stays in my house. And so as I raise my children, I raise them totally different. If I inappropriately touch you, I'm sick, you need to tell on me. And so,
right. Hey, you, Ellen, I have a question for you. I have two questions. My first question, I'm putting you on the spot. I would love for you to be a guest on next week's show.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, I can do that.
Okay, good. My second question is related to what we're talking about church. because you're behind the scenes in church, being a minister. What is the conversation when it comes up about in the Bible that Jesus came to help the hurting people, that Jesus went out to the world, and we talk about Jesus and the prostitute, and how does the church wrap their head around that's who Jesus came to heal? He didn't come to heal the ones who are already okay, if there is such a thing as people that are okay. How does the church wrap their mind around the ministers? And I'm not talking about the members in the church. I'm talking about the ministers, the pastors' wives. I'm talking about the ministry staff. What do they talk about when they're going through issues?
That's all they tell you. Pray about it, and they give you a few scriptures. Yeah, they tell you pray about it. And yeah, they say pray about it, and you just pray about it. You can only pray for so much. I'm being real. You can pray about it, but it's not fixing anything. If I'm telling you that I'm being abused by by the deacon in the church, or my husband is raping me, and you tell me to pray about it and don't tell nobody else. That's what they tell you.
Right.
You to sanctify 1 Corinthians the 7th chapter, the sanctified wife, sanctified, unsanctified husband. Right now he's not being sanctified. You're the minister. So they tell you that stuff. They tell you to pray about everything. You pray about everything, but I was always told prayer don't kill that bear. He's still raping me. He not only molested me, but he molested my kids too. But that's what they teach in the church, and especially for a woman in ministry, you have to shut your mouth and sit down. If you are want to shut up, suck it up. Shut up, suck it up. That's your husband, man, is the being. And I'm just keeping it real from ministry. I've been doing this 20 years. Shut your mouth, woman, and don't say anything. He the head.
Yes, sir.
And so because he's the head, what he say, what he say is what you do. That's not true. If he's abusing me, but then the minute you kill him, you are the one, the bad person. Now you killed the pastor. I came to you and told you, bishop and overseer, and told you that my pastor, my husband, the pastor, is doing this to me. And let me tell you, and I'm gonna get out of here in a minute, but I'm from Mississippi, and I had one of my priest brothers was a pastor. He killed his wife because he said she was cheating on him, but he killed her. But he was so abusive, and he killed her. You know what? Our churches around the country was raising money for his defense, and I told him I would never put a penny on a book for his defense because he killed that one was breadwinner. He not only killed her, but he killed her and left them with 4 kids out there. The baby had Down syndrome, and the other kids were still in high school. So he killed, and he in prison, she dead. So all the kids got split up. But they told the children, suck it up.
Wow.
Do what the church told the church. We're gonna help y'all out financially. Yeah.
Hey, Ellen. Erica has a question for you. She wants to know: Are you still with the church?
No. I have family that are there, and so when I go home, I don't visit.
Okay.
I don't.
Do you?
I don't even visit. They be like, "Why you didn't visit?" Because that's why I was ordained and stuff at. But I don't visit. I visit some of the members because but I hadn't been to church. No, I go there on Saturdays if I'm home and buy barbecue. Because somebody said barbecue on the property. But no. But he.
Ellen, I want to chime in because I understand when you say things that are going on with the clergy and their families that doesn't support healing. I get the same thing on my side. Being a counselor. And I'm just going to put it out there. There are a lot of counselors who are still in pain, and they're helping other people and not even healing their own selves. I have experienced that over the years, and sometimes I look at it like, oh my God, we have hurt people who have not healed themselves, trying to heal other people, and it really doesn't work. It doesn't work at all. To me, it just doesn't work. So I see it on my side of things. I learned early on, you know, as a counselor, I learned that take care of your stuff before you go into the field of counseling, because if you don't, you're going to act out your stuff on your client. And, you know, not only that I hold that true, even now, you know, I have no, I shared it last week, I have no problem saying that I need help. It doesn't matter that I've been a counselor for 25 years. It doesn't matter that I've been in recovery for 27 years. If I'm experiencing some pain right now, I'm going to seek help. I am no longer gonna, no, let me see, I shouldn't even use the word no longer, because I've never done that. I am not that kind of counselor. I am not that person in recovery who says, I got it all together. I got it all together. No, I still need some help. I still, the trauma that I experienced of domestic violence, the trauma that I experienced of being molested as a child, those traumas are still with me. They don't hold me prisoner any longer. I'm in control of them, but anything in my life could be triggered by an event that can cause me to act out in those same kind of ways if I don't keep it in check. So I'm always mindful when I feel things are really getting difficult, or I'm beginning to tap into some issues from my past. Oh, I'm going to counseling. Oh, without a doubt, I'm going to counseling. I am going to counseling. When I know there's people out there who have a lot of clean time, or counselors who think they're above going to get help. And I say that just like the clergy, it sounds like they think they're above going to get help. And that's sad. That is truly sad, because we are human beings and we need help. And I truly believe that's why God, and this is just for me, I believe that's why God gave us his word to prepare us to live in this life. Because he knows that we're going to experience trauma. He knows that we're going to experience pain. He knows that we're going to experience all kinds of things, because this is the world that we live in. So his word was designed to help us through it. So he knows that as long as we're here, we're going to experience some stuff. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with being open. I'm never going to take the standpoint where I don't ever need any help. I'm never going to take to standpoint where I'm going to paint a picture like everything's okay. I am no longer ever going to live behind the mask ever again, ever, because that's a sick place. It's a lonely place. I felt in prison living there. I felt I was the only one because I didn't talk about it. So I thought it just happened to me. Now that I found freedom, like Uella said, she feels free. I feel so free. And I'm telling you, it doesn't matter what people say to me. It doesn't, well, actually people don't say things to me. It doesn't matter what they say behind my back or the conversation that comes up about me being a recovering addict. It doesn't matter what someone says about me being a survivor of domestic. It doesn't matter because, you know, I love me today. I'm never going to imprison myself like that again. So if you're a woman and you're out there and you find yourself in pain, know that there are women out there here who, just like you, are here to listen. You know, we're here to offer you support. We're here to tell our story so you'll know that you are not alone. I want to say this last thing because we have 2 more minutes left. There is this thinking about people who experience drug and alcohol abuse. There's this thinking about people who experience domestic violence. There's this thinking about people who experience trauma. The thinking that I'm talking about, it only happens to a certain group of people. That it only happens to people who are uneducated, people who are unemployed, people who are living beneath the poverty level. Is this thinking that it only happens to that population. I'm here to tell you, as a counselor, as someone who does research and statistics, it happens more prevalent in those who are in the upper echelon. those who are in a higher income bracket. It happens to them more than the ones that's in below the poverty level. It's just that the ones that are below the poverty level get the most attention on media. I want to tell you, I've counseled a lot of people who have positions in society. I can, a lot of people. I have interviewed police chiefs of New York City trying to get him into treatment before he loses his job. I have counseled people who have celebrity statuses. I have counseled lawyers and doctors and nurses, and I'm talking about people who are making money that you would think have a problem of addiction and domestic violence and molestation. I've counseled them myself who are making money, but because they're living in silence, because they live behind the mask, they didn't tell anybody, and they didn't tell anybody, some of them, before it was too late. And that's when you hear the stories of a lot of celebrities who die, who commit suicide, because they're living behind the mask, because I can't tell anybody, because what would people think? Because people think that I should be a certain status, that I shouldn't go through this, and people are living behind the mask and keeping those secrets until they die. And we hear them all the time, and we sit back and we're shocked, like, oh my God, how did that celebrity die? Oh my God, they committed suicide. Oh my God, they're on drugs. Yeah, because they're living behind a mask and they're suffering in silence until they die. Hopefully some of them get to the point where they reach out for help, but don't be shocked that we got these celebrities dying because they're so busy painting pictures instead of getting help. So this does not have to be you. You can reach out. My name is Natalie Manning. I'm an addiction counselor again. I'm an anger management specialist. I'm trained in trauma recovery. You can reach out to me at www.anotherviewpointcounseling.org or nataliehmanning.com. I have 2 social media Facebook pages with the same names, Another Viewpoint Counseling, as well as Natalie H. Manning. And I'm also always posting things about issues that women face and even men, and also coming up with skills and tools to help you through that on a basic level. So again, there's help out there. You don't have to suffer alone. Please, if you see my post, reach out to me in the inbox. You don't have to put it out there on Facebook. Reach out to me. If I can't help you myself, I can direct you to people that can help you in your area. So reach out for help. You don't have to suffer anymore. I want to thank my guests. Thank you, Coach Erica, for always supporting me. Thank you, Uellen, for speaking on tonight's platform. Uellen is going to come back next Wednesday. She's going to share her story. Mwah, to you, Coach Erica. Thank you for that. She's going to share her story. Uellen has a story, and she's going to share it next week. So thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and you have a good night.